about this thing. First impressions, you know, your typical review video. I'm coming off of a couple different Arctic Cats, so I can give you my opinion and my thoughts on this new Catalyst chassis. So I've got 62 miles exactly on the new sled. I haven't done a whole lot of anything to it. I put a bag on it, and that's about it. It's not studded yet. It is out of the crate. Oil, fuel, and I believe we're just about out of break-in. A lot of people talking about how vibraty they are. So they feel, I wouldn't call it vibraty, and maybe some sleds are different than others, but in my case, it's buzzy. So the handlebars feel buzzy through them at a certain RPM, under 5,500 RPM. Once you get up above that, smooth as butter. Now, I have a theory. The sled is so quiet. It's a stock exhaust, stock muffler. It's so quiet that I feel like it amplifies all those things. I'll have to compare it to my other sleds. I have an 800 ZR and a 700 Firecat, and I believe it's a non-issue. I'm probably going to get the primary balance just because I usually do anyway. But yeah, it feels buzzy. It almost feels like, well, you can't really hear the engine at a low RPM. An 850, 800 E-Tech Skidoos, they almost feel like a 4-stroke when you first start them up. And I would call this similar to that. It's not like, you know, your old 800s and stuff where you can hear that engine. It's almost like a constant drone, like, and sometimes you'll start like a Skidoo up and you'll be like, is that a 4-stroke? Anyways, as far as performance goes, the snow's kind of crappy. I'll show you what the snow looks like right now. It's, you know, we may have got a foot total, and the skis and stuff are cutting down to the snow. So my opinion on it would be from last year, where I was on a 600 demo studded up, and the conditions weren't great either, but the sled feels small. I come off a Firecat and an 800. Most of my miles recently has been on my 800, 2016 800 ZR 137. The Catalyst feels small. Anyone I let drive it, they get off it and they're like, man, this sled feels small, nimble, because I believe it is physically smaller. It's definitely lighter. It's about as light as the 03 Firecat from what I can tell. We've weighed them. This one's not studded yet. This one came in lighter than the Firecat. The Firecat's studded and has a hitch on it. But it came in about 10 pounds lighter. All conditions the same. We're going to do like a comparo video later where we weigh all three sleds and then kind of talk about their power to weight and stuff. So as far as the sled goes drivable, it's a Procross 2.0. If you can drive going from the Firecat to the Procross, it took me a while to learn how to drive the Procross. And the Procross, it rides excellent, especially compared to a Firecat. You never want to get back on the Firecat on a long trail ride. But it does have some characteristics that I never liked and I could never really get out of it. If you get out of hand in a turn, it almost kind of grabs the ski and gets all out of hand on you and gets, I always call it Jill pokey. And, you know, you could get it settled down. Whereas, say, the Firecat's really low to the ground. It's just predictable, I guess. The Catalyst brings that back. It's super predictable. It's Procross 2.0 with a mix of Firecat, and it'll rail. It's flat. It's really easy to drive fast. And if you like that, then great. If you like a flat handling sled, that's great. I brought my skis in a little bit. I love bringing a ski up in the turn and letting the outside ski dig in. I haven't done anything. I haven't even taken the coupler blocks out. Usually I would, to bring a little more play into it, get it to transfer and wheelie and stuff. I haven't done any of that. The 129 has no coupler blocks, uncoupled skid, and I'm kind of hoping to get it like that because I enjoy that. But as far as very predictable, very fast, safe feeling, if you can drive a Procross, you can drive a Catalyst that much better. And there's no learning curve to it, in my opinion. Suspension, I have no opinion yet. The snow's not there, the trails aren't there. I'll get there. I've just kind of left it in the middle on the suspension settings. I ran it against my cat in the field last night, but I mean, different, you know, there's different track lengths, no studs in this one. What else can I tell you about it? It's going to be a cold sled. It doesn't have much of a windshield on it. You can get a bigger windshield. That said, it doesn't look as cool. So do you want to be cool or be cool, or actually be cool? Those are your options. You want to have a quick look at the storage compartment? Let's see what we can get in there. This is the bag that I put on. It's from Attach. It was not cheap, but I wanted it to click into the factory mounts. So we're out here at Happyland, and I brought some snacks along. Let's see what we got in here. We got some cookies, full thing of coffee, giant thing of hot chocolate, and 5 cans of soup. Chicken noodle, chicken a la king. Pretty healthy storage compartment on it. What else can I tell you? The brakes on this machine are amazing. Way better than my Procross. First thing I noticed when I got on this sled, the brakes were awesome. The power's super linear. There's no flat spots. My power valves aren't sticking or anything like that. It's really good the whole way through. Now, I'll probably make some changes eventually. We're going to stud the thing. Then we're going to start playing with the clutches. I do have some adjustable weights. It's revving like 8,200. It probably should be around 7950 based on the charts I've seen. Here's one thing I don't like about it is the sled's so narrow that they've kind of had to peek out the brakes, and then on this side, the other end of the shaft, and my feet naturally want to go in like that, but they end up going out here. That's fine. It'll take some getting used to. And my feet always want to slide out here, so I tend to hook my feet when I'm riding. And I did buy the stirrups that go here that kind of stop it. You can tell it was made for it from the factory. It said, "We'll make that an accessory, buy it." Well, they were right. He did. I've only had the cab off a few times. That's excellent. It's everything I can tell. It's a lot of new stuff for me. It's an adapt clutch. I'm not used to that. I haven't tuned it yet. Everything about that feels awesome. This sled's been great so far. I couldn't tell you anything about fuel mileage or anything like that. I just know there's people whining about flat spots, power valves sticking. You only hear the bad things on the internet, of course. It's a great place to find out things that you should look at, I guess. But overall, I think it's going to be a hit of a sled. I can tell you one thing, the chassis is absolutely on point. It is going to be a rocking machine. Let's talk a little more about the engine. So it's an 858. I'm told it's a same pistons as an 800. They just stroked it. So that's a stroker on the side. It feels like it has a lot of low end grunt. When you first get on that throttle, it just squeezes through. Like it's got all kinds of power. I can't wait to get that power to the ground. I had it going 90 miles an hour on its speedometer. I don't know how accurate it is. I will be finding out. I had it doing 90 just on my driveway coming down into my house. It was brief, got there quick. It's definitely got the juice for sure. So, oh, another thing, when comparing with my other sleds side by side, starting, no one talks about the starting. That electric start in the past has been a pain in the butt. It's kind of, they sound really bad. This thing is awesome. Doesn't matter if it's minus 20 Celsius. You just click that button and it goes fling, and away she goes every single time. And it has a cool little exhaust note. It must be the exhaust valve opening and then closing again on startup. So I thought that was really cool. I'll give you a little demo. Now, mind you, it's warm, but this is how easy it starts, and it sounds great. When it's cold, it's even better. Another thing I kind of miss, and I know it's been like this for a few years, but we have no tack, like gauge. You can't put a needle on there, so there's no needle gauge, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's cool to see your needle go, and I think maybe when the G8 arrives, it will have that option, but it still will be, it's a digital. I guess it's been digital forever, but anyway, I'm gonna miss that with this gauge for sure. Steering and stuff. I drove out here and there was a few tire tracks from some side-by-sides and maybe a couple vehicles, and it like I noticed this last year on that demo, it just doesn't care to follow that. The runners that come on it have 3 different keels, if that makes sense. And I've never been a fan of dualies, but whatever's on this thing seems to work excellent. And it doesn't dart or anything, is super predictable. And that's a big hit. Just the way the machine, it's just super predictable, goes where you point it, feels small, lots of jam. It's going to be a lot of fun. It feels like a lot of fun. So the plans for this sled is just to do what I always do with my sleds, kind of tune them up a little bit and make them into a nice little trail weapon. I'm going to be studding it with 1.86 inch studs. It has a 1.25 inch track on it. This stud's got to penetrate, guys. If you're going to be doing any type of, if you want traction, they've got to penetrate. I know the manufacturers say 3/8 over the lug. In my experience, less studs and more penetration. Yeah, it's harder on tracks, but I do like to go to the odd race, and I need it to grab. She needs to go. I'm going to do that. Also, there are some modifications out there. I've been following them on the internet. Speedworks, Thunder Products, Precision, they've all been working on tunes for this machine. They've gotten into the ECU. There's already a reflash from Arctic Cat for EPA, I believe. So they're probably going to lean something out somewhere. I haven't done that to this yet. I actually haven't got the letter. Maybe it's a later model serial number that doesn't have it. So the first thing I'll be doing is studying it. The second thing I'll be doing, I won't be doing any changes other than that. I want to get it side by side against my 800 Cat, my 2016 800 Cat. It's not a stock machine. It's a quick little machine. I've done everything I plan to do to it, and I want to baseline it against that. It's probably 175, 180 horsepower 800 Suzuki. Studded up. It's got a 144 inch track, 10 tooth, 252 drivers, engine work. It's got a pipe set on it. And anyway, so the plan is to run it side by side with that, just with traction. And then I suspect my revs will be higher on this sled, and it'll be throwing itself out of the power range. So we'll try to settle that back in. I've got a set of adjustable weights that Dalton sent me to put in, and we'll try to get that. We'll probably change the belt first and put a stickier belt on to see if that settles the RPM down. And traction will help as well. And then we'll start playing with the primary weights and the spring, and then we'll probably move backwards to the Helix and run it on the V-Box, and just see if we're getting any quicker with every change that we make. There's some airbox modifications that are supposed to be good for 5 horsepower somewhere, I assume on the top end. So we'll probably throw that in there, and maybe an ECU tune, which is apparently supposed to give us almost 15 horsepower in the mid-range. So we'll be watching some guys with the tunes. I've been in touch with a lot of guys and seeing what is working for them. They've left a lot on the table. Cat's left a lot on the table there. There are some pipes. I know Speedworks working on a pipe right now. Not sure. The horsepower claims are always in conjunction with other things. So we'll see if it's worth spending a few bucks on, just to kind of get this thing where it should be there. 167 horsepower on the Dynotech's research dyno. I'm hoping to see them over 180, which should make a big difference because you're saving probably 50 pounds, I'm guessing, over the last 800 that I've got, and then adding that much more power. So imagine 180 horsepower in a Firecat. Chassis efficiency. When you let off the throttle on this, some guys are saying, oh, it's just like hitting engine brakes. Well, everything I've, it kind of creeps. It seems like it's really efficient. It might be the belt drive. Not that the chain drive was less efficient. So that'll be a big question too, is how well it rolls. The skid's the same as what we've seen in the past. So anyway, as far as driveline efficiency, I think we're going to see just... Last year we had a 600 demo out Catalyst, which was the same engine as like a 2020 Procross. And we had a 2020 Procross, and we would ride it back to back, 600 back to back with a 600 Catalyst, and the Catalyst was bone stock. The other one had some modifications, I believe, from I can't remember who now, but it had a pipe and some airbox work, I believe, and I don't know if it had a timing key or anything, but it was, it had a it had a kit on it, we'll say a stage 1 kit, and the catalyst just felt way stronger. Yeah, it's a lighter chassis, but just felt way more efficient. So hopefully we see that in this chassis and engine combo. I believe we will. The belt drive, I think, is going to be a hit. Still a little unnerved about how open the belt is, and you know, if you got an exhaust spring flying around in there. But as far as a belt drive goes, you can hear it a little bit when you're like idling along. You can I feel like you can hear it whirling along. But anyway, I think it's going to be a wicked sled. I'm excited to share with you guys and kind of do some stage tuning along the way. I don't think, you know, there's some guys out there just throwing money at these things and putting cans and pipe. I heard from one person that they lost 5 horsepower on the track dyno just by putting a can on. So don't just run out and throw your money at some can that's the loudest, because you're gonna, you know, unless you don't care about, you know, going quick or capitalizing on that extra power that you made going from a 600 to an 800, and don't put a power robbing can on. So I'm excited to work with Dynotech, the new Dynotech, Frankie, I believe his name is, and see what really works out there. It's worked for me in the past using you know, an honest third-party dyno to compare stuff and see what works, and then going out there and trying to get that power to the snow. Anyways, have a great day.